Hey guys, welcome to Daily Bible Study. We're so excited that you've decided to join us for another edition, and hopefully you're doing well today here in southeastern Virginia. It's hot. It's like 103 heat index today. So yeah, it was hot. So hopefully if you are, the weather's bad or hot where you're at, you're staying hydrated. One of the things that always help me on hot days is to stay hydrated, but to make sure I'm eating the right kinds of food. And so today's topic is pretty interesting because it's talking about fasting. At least in chapter 58, verses 13 and 14, it talks about a fast, right? So this fasting is interesting because it connects to the whole concept of the heart of Israel, and that they were not fasting appropriately. They were still living in a sinful lifestyle, but then they were not even honoring the Sabbath that they were supposed to. There's nothing sacred in their lives, right? So the whole idea of being able to abstain from food, to consecrate yourself to the Lord, to set aside a day to honor Him, was very important for them because it signified whether or not they were committing their lives to the Lord. If you think about that from a new covenant perspective, it's very easy to see why Sundays are so important for us. From the very first century of the church, you see writings where Sunday started to become a day where they consecrated themselves to the Lord. So this whole idea of remembering the Sabbath, what does it mean to remember the Sabbath? Well, it's not only one of the commandments that we see in the Bible, but it's a way practically for us to be connected to what heaven is going to look like, right? So Sabbath has always been this concept of recognizing what was and what will be. And so Sundays have historically become a very important time in the life of a Christian, because it was early on in the first century where Sunday started to become that day where believers were setting aside the first day of the week, right? The day that Jesus would have resurrected, right? The day, and they were celebrating His resurrection on that day, and that became a day where they started to consecrate themselves. They were making that day sacred. And so traditionally, you see Friday evening to Saturday evening being the Sabbath. Well, when Jesus came and resurrected, you see very easily that Sunday became a prominent day. So wherever you decide to do it, this post is not to create any theological arguments about when the Sabbath should be. It's just to give you content as to why Sundays are so important in our culture. Now, others may disagree, and that's okay. We're all going to have to pick and choose the things that we are really passionate about. I try to be passionate about loving Jesus and doing everything I can to make Him a priority in my life. And so Sundays are the best day for me to do that. Now, I try to do that on Mondays. I try to do it on Tuesdays. I try to do it on Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays. But there's something special about Sundays in our culture, and that's because we see that pattern laid out for us for the very first century, because it's a day that we recognize the resurrection of Jesus and we celebrate that. And so what this passage teaches us tonight is that we shouldn't take advantage or take for granted the things that God has given us and He's laid out for us to do, right? Just like Israel was given the same commission, don't just fast and still sin. Don't abstain from certain things, but still live a hypocritical life. Don't continue to desecrate and to not think that the Sabbath is important, because it is important. So I want you guys to think about that today, okay? All right, we love you guys. Take care.